Hello and welcome to Back to Basics with Sandra and Lyndall. Today we have a very special guest, and that is James Becerra, who is a serial entrepreneur. Welcome, James.
Sorry. You've got to change it up. Otherwise, I'm going to laugh again. That's your fault.
Well, that was such a strong intro.
Sorry. I was
James.
laughing as soon as you said hello, welcome.
This is our relationship. He just laughs at the shit I say.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Are we going to cut that out or are we going to keep
No,
going?
we're going to
we're-
keep
Oh,
it. We're
fuck,
going.
all
We
right.
are rolling.
That's a reel on its own.
Yeah, we're rolling. So
Sweet.
welcome.
Happy with that. Thank you for having me.
So today we obviously want to talk about you. We want to talk about business, obviously future, all of that sort of stuff. This is the first time you guys are meeting,
Yes.
but we've worked together for
A
9
year now,
months?
maybe. I don't know.
Nearly a year. Oh, I don't even know what date it is, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't either. I thought it was Thursday.
So you've got 5 clinics in the allied health space.
6 now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's news to me. We'll
Yes.
talk after this podcast.
I was holding that. You said 5 before, and I was like, I'm going to see what her reaction is.
She's like, shit, more hours.
Yeah,
more
no,
time now.
shit, here we are. How am I going to do this work?
Yeah.
6 clinics in the allied health space.
Yes.
Just about to be our first gym in the health and fitness space, and then
Yeah.
also in the business consulting world. Is there anything else that I don't know about that you want to share?
No, we're good for now. We're good for now.
OnlyFans, Fit Finder.
Nah, look, come on. I don't have time for that. Unless this goes on there and I make money that way.
Never know.
So how did it all start? Like, obviously, you know, you call yourself a serial entrepreneur. You know, how did that all start for you?
Well, I guess the whole idea of business was from an early age. Like, especially before I started in physio, it was like, do I go into business or do I go into physio? And I mean, like at uni at the time. And I went down the physio path because I couldn't see myself sitting at a desk like all day. And then
And now here we are.
And now
sitting
here we
at
are.
a desk all day.
well, this is a little bit more comfy than a desk, so we're sweet. And I'm not behind the desk. I get to choose what I want to do, which
Yeah.
maybe I didn't see. Well, I'm glad I went down that path, but I didn't see that opportunity if I was going to go study business. So physio it was, and then now I'm able to combine the two. So I'm
Have you
happy with
done
that.
any studies of like business studies?
No.
Oh wow.
Mentors, any workshops and stuff.
Lots of mentoring, lots of
Okay.
coaching, lots of workshops. You know, there's like even when I started business, I had zero idea on where to start. Like I thought I could do it because of like other previous experiences. You know, I'd managed before in different businesses as well. So I'm like, oh, you know, how much harder could it be?
And here we are again.
And scene.
Yeah, but yeah. So I guess when I started business, I definitely didn't know what I was in for. I liked the idea of it. I definitely wanted to do it. I wanted to challenge myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, proper training in business, but definitely lots of coaching, lots of mentoring along the way.
Do you
So
sorry.
So you go.
Because I don't know you, so I'm just like trying to like unravel everything.
Just don't ask that
Yeah,
question.
okay. So I'll ask it in a number of different ways. So growing up, are you from a family of business people, or does
Yeah, look, my parents have their own business. You know, they didn't maybe start with their own business. They're both architects. So, you know, they were working for other people and then kind of started to venture into their own business. They've had that for a while now as well. Definitely when I was at school, you know, they had their own business. I couldn't tell you exactly when. But yeah, so I guess that side of it definitely was interesting. You know, a lot of my family members, like my grandfather had his own business. So, but I don't know if that was the real reason why maybe I got into business. I think for me it was more the idea of being able to grow, you know, something that it's your thing,
baby,
right?
yeah.
And you know, the plans that we have for Switch and for anything that I'm doing is like to grow something. It's not just like, you know, sometimes people get in business and they're just maybe doing one thing and they're happy to do that, and that's fine. That it's plenty of businesses. I don't know, whenever I wanted to do business, it was like, how can I grow something that's cool, that you know, is a bit more than something just small. I don't know how else to describe that. But
So
yeah.
the physio is called Switch.
Yes.
And where did the name come from?
Yeah, like everyone asks that, and we got asked if we're an electrical company, but no. I guess the idea of Switch came from I worked with a branding consultant, and at the time when we first were looking to change our brand, every physio clinic was like suburb physio, and there wasn't really much else out there. There might have been one or two companies that had a brand. But no other physio clinics really had a brand. So that was like the first thing, is how do we create a brand identity and a name? And then when we went through exactly what we envisioned for Switch to be, or at the time, what the business was going to look like, they just gave me a few different options, like we went down this path, or, lots of different options. And it came back down to, I just want one strong name.
Yeah.
And then when we went down to down that path, it was just kept evolving. And then when Switch came up, I was like, that's mad. Like that kind of matches what we're trying to do. We're trying to switch around what physio is about.
Okay.
We're not like a normal doctor's surgery, or sometimes you go into other physio clinics and it's very like monotonous, and it's not really
clinical. It's
very
very
clinical.
Yeah.
Like that's not what we wanted. We wanted people to enjoy coming to the clinic. Cool, they might be in pain, but it's not just about the pain. It's how we make them feel. It's how we welcome them. It's how we help them achieve their outcomes. Whereas that wasn't the norm of the industry. So Switch just matched that as a way of, trying to break away from what the rest of the industry was doing.
And what was the evolution that you had to go through from being a physio to being a manager to being a business owner with one clinic, now 6 clinics, and now beyond that? What was the process you had to go through and the changes you had to make?
I think that's not easy. Like, it's easy to say that that's the transition, but I would say it's like a lot of 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah.
And then 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's not just go from clinician, manager, business owner. I think a lot of the time, especially in a service-based industry, it takes time to transition from each one. And I guess going from a practitioner to a manager, a lot of the time that's blended, especially in a service-based industry. Whereas so I guess when I was doing that, I was still treating, management was maybe like a secondary job to the treatment. So it wasn't really until I stepped into the business owner that I was like, okay, like I can't treat as much if I want to actually grow my business. And then even then, like there was times where I would step away from treatment and, start focusing around the business, but then jumped straight back into it whenever there was a need. And so that kept happening back and forth. So I don't think it's a linear progression. It's something, it should be if you really want to grow your business. But I don't think it ever gets to be like that, unfortunately.
Well, there's not really like a right way to do things.
No, absolutely not.
I think you can even go to uni and do all the courses and stuff like that, but you still never really know what it's going to be like until you're in it.
No, 100%. And even when you're like, I remember the first time that I made a decision to stop treating and run the business, I reckon for maybe like the first month, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah. Like you want.
And now you're like, I don't have enough hours in the day to get everything done.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to be hands-on. I know, like, even you, when you tell me, like, I want to grow my business, and you're like, you need to step away from the face-to-face. Like, how would you get your time back? And I'm like, but I don't want to lose that as well. So you kind of don't want to let go of that.
It becomes your identity almost.
100, and that's what it is. It becomes your identity, and that's why you go back to it so easily.
Yeah.
And when you're, changing the role a little bit, whether it's management or whether it's, stepping out into like an ownership side of things, you don't know, you don't just automatically adopt that identity. And I think that's what makes it difficult for a lot of people when they're transitioning from, one role to the next. And like literally when I was there, it was just easier for me when I was like sitting there going, what do I do? To just then go into the treatment room and talk to a client, like, or go back to one of the other clinics and, start treating again, even if it was for a day. So it's not really productive though, if you want to grow your business, but it's definitely our identity, and it takes a while to get away from that.
How do you make sure you recruit the right people for your business?
Oh, geez. How long is this podcast going to go for?
Asking the tough questions.
Well, it's going to be a part 1 and a part 2, I think. Now.
Is this for yourself? Like, do you want to know how to do that? Or
well, just like, because you said like your identity of your business, like the name was very important to you to pick the right name.
Yeah.
So how do you know that you're recruiting? Because anyone could come in and sell you themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you know it's the right fit? And then how do you remove someone that isn't, if you've had to do that before?
Yeah, look, let's go with the first part. It's not easy to find someone that's the right fit, especially in today's labor market. I think it was a little easier before, but definitely post-COVID, nowhere near as easy. But it means you need to be more selective, I think. And even then, I still think it's hard to find someone that's going to fit the identity. But because we know what that looks like, especially in Switch, excuse me, we know what we're looking for. And again, like, you know, someone could present the best case and they look like they're the best fit, and it doesn't always work out that way once they start working in the business. But, you know, I think, you know, especially what we're trying to do, for us, it's very easy to see a physio that is super clinical, very monotonous. Like, I know that sounds really bad.
Because that's the expectation you would have. Like, I know for me, going to a physio, that's what I would expect.
Yeah. And like, let's be honest, it's boring. You know, I don't think, and that's got nothing to do with their skills. It's got nothing to do with their ability to help you, but it just doesn't fit what we're trying to do. And so that's the first thing we look for is, are they energetic? You know, how do they communicate? What are they like when they're talking? You know, that's one major aspect that you can easily pick out from someone. But then, you know, the way we do treat is very different. So are they then open to learning our methods of treatment?
Yeah.
You know, the systems and processes that we have in the business are not normal for our industry. So are they willing to go through that and learn that? You know, so yes, I can sit there and go, yeah, this person would fit the right energy of what we're trying to do at Switch, but there's so much more that sometimes we can't always pick. And then the second part of that question was like, well, then how do you get rid of them? I think they self-select out.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you see guys that have been in the business for so long, like Harry, James, you know, they literally embody what we're trying to do as a business. And then people start comparing themselves to them. And they shouldn't, right? But because everyone's on their own path, and these guys have been part of the business for 7-8 years, right? So it's not like you should immediately compare yourself to them, but if they're what we stand for, and you're like, no, not even remotely interested, you're going to self-select out. Yeah.
Your team is your best asset.
100%.
Really. I actually saw this video this morning of Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
And he was talking about an interview that he saw with Steve Jobs before he died. And someone asked him, what's the product you're most proud of? Is it the iPad or is it whatever? And he said, my team. My team. You know, the best product I've ever produced.
100%.
And I think that's so important.
And people is the biggest part of any business. You know, even to an extent, a product-based business. Okay, cool, you're selling a product, but the team behind that product is so important, because you could have the best product in the world, but shit service, and people will pick up on that.
100%.
And
I think social media has made it easier now. I think people are catching on that to showcase their teams, and you'll often see it now, like on all the reels. It's meet, you know, Mandy, our production assistant, meet this person, meet that person. So they're going behind the scenes so that you can see how many people it actually takes to deliver you that service or that product. And it's good because I think Fate the label does this really well. Do you know Fate, Brittany Saunders? She does this really well, where she'll have like funny TikToks with her team and stuff, so you can see that there's a personality behind it.
Yeah.
Because essentially everyone sells the same thing, right? The pair of jeans you buy, everyone's got it from the same place, but why would you buy it from that, you know, seller?
100%. And I think that was one of the first conversations Lyndall and I had when we first started. Was she's like, so who's going to do all the content?
Yeah.
I was like, the team. Like, what, you know, yeah, cool, I could do it, and I did it for years. Wasn't great at it, but you know, I did it for years. But
Lots of editing.
When
I shoot James.
Lots of swearing.
Lots of swearing.
But like, at the same time though, you want to showcase the people that are part of your team. You want people to connect with their personality. And the thing is, you know, you also hang yourself out to dry a little bit, because someone might see a video of a certain team member and be like, oh, I don't vibe with them.
Yeah.
But then see someone else and be like, oh yeah, like I want to see them. So it's good and bad, but that's the benefit of social media, right? Is that, once you put it out there, people are going to be attracted to what they see and what they feel. It has zero to do with, the skill set, which is, crazy, especially in a physio kind of world. And, it's funny because everyone will tell you, no, I want to go to the best physio. That's what they're thinking, but it's not how they choose.
Yeah.
So it's really
It's about that emotional connection. I know even when I was PTing, a lot of my PT clients were like, can you do my hair? With zero idea whether I was a good hairdresser or not.
Yeah.
But we just had that connection.
Absolutely.
And now they're still my clients.
Case in point.
but I think that's the thing. Like, you probably hear it so many times, and like even myself, when I've heard that, like you're connecting with the person and their personality and the emotional side of things, my brain automatically goes, no, right? No, I gotta see that they're doing a good job. I gotta like, it's a balance of the both, but we don't make a decision ever based on the product. We always make that decision emotionally.
Well, sometimes people that are average, like have an average skill set, are the busiest people.
They win you over.
Yeah, they win you over. So have you had any big mistakes when building your business?
Learnings. Not mistakes, learnings.
That you're happy to share?
Yeah. You should have made me prepare for that. Because
How long do we have, James? Actually, 15 minutes.
Do you want to be a bit more specific on that? Like, is there...
Well, I mean, obviously going from, one business to 2 businesses to 3 to 4, like, going through that evolution, you have to evolve constantly throughout that period of growth, and you'll have to evolve as you grow more. Like, were there learnings that you kind of took on throughout that time that, varied when you've had 5 clinics versus 1?
I think... I don't know if I'd call it a mistake or even a learning, right? But the thing that was probably the most difficult was growing too quickly. So we went from 1 to 3 clinics within 3 years. And that's always what I wanted to do. I wanted to grow my business. I didn't really put a time frame on it. It was more opportunity based. So when the opportunity arose, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. But it wasn't until we got to the 3rd clinic and it was like, holy shit, actually, we weren't even maybe ready for the 2nd, let alone the 3rd. So, and I was still treating at that time. Like, so all of that was probably the biggest learning, if you want to call it that, because it was like, no, maybe it was fine for me to still be treating when we started the 2nd. But before we did the 3rd, I really needed to maybe not be treating, have all the right systems and processes in place, and be ready for the 3rd. So I think that's probably the biggest one. Not to say that you shouldn't do 3 clinics in 3 years. You could absolutely do that, but maybe be prepared and know what was happening at that time, that then, it could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Luckily it wasn't, but could have easily been at that pace.
And now moving into a different industry, which has some similarities, being in the gym and the fitness industry. Obviously this business model is a little bit different. You've gone from, doing what you want within your business to having now a franchise. What's that evolution been like?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think when I first looked at the brand, so I guess the idea started from how I wanted to involve my business, right? So I saw Switch as a stable business at the time, and I was like, cool, how do I, evolve the offering to a really loyal client base? And majority of our clients came from gyms, and majority of our clients asked what was the best gym to go to.
Yeah, it's always the conversation,
So for me, it was just like, hang on, how can I not listen to the feedback that's coming in here? Like, everyone's talking about gyms. Everyone's talking about where do I go train? How do I, get the best out of my health and fitness, right? Because we're fixing the health and fitness to then let them go back out there and do that. But then, sometimes they're like, but where do I go now? Or what I was doing before didn't work. So what do I change?
Yeah.
So that's how it came, literally. And I shit you not that I put a business like mind map together and put the gym on there. And within a week, I got an email that the Change franchise was selling, like they were selling the franchises. I looked into it. I'm like, this can't be right. Like, it's very similar branding. It's not like your standard.
It looks amazing.
It
like
looks
I've
cool.
seen the photos and stuff.
Not that our branding is the same, but it's very, very similar. Change has probably done a little bit better than us. Lyndall's then helped us get a bit better. But like at the time, it was just like, wait, this is seamless.
So they're selling the entire business?
No, they were selling franchises.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So how do you select a franchise? Like obviously you just said like it aligns with what you look like.
Yeah.
Imagery and stuff. But how do you know it's the right one? Like what questions should you ask?
Yeah, I guess it was like the first meeting with the founder, Pete, was we were probably both sussing each other out.
Okay.
I think. Like, not in a bad way,
Yeah.
but, he was asking me a lot of questions. I was asking a lot of questions back. And I guess it comes down to, did the business align with what I was trying to achieve?
Okay.
So for me, it was, how do I expand my business offering? The benefit of this business is it's just not smashing people for 45 minutes in a group class, right?
I was just about to go into that as well.
Let's not bash other brands, but like that's not what Change is about, right? Change is about the overall health and wellness of the individual, right? So that's why there is yoga, Pilates, breath work, all under one kind of roof, under one membership, plus all the wellness stuff and recovery stuff we're now bringing in as well. That was like, hang on, if I had a physio client and I had nothing to do with Change, I'd want to be sending them there.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that they're not just going to smash them for 45 minutes and then come back to see me. Like, I want to send my clients somewhere that they're going to feel comfortable training. Now, injury is going to happen. Like, when you're training, there's lots of different reasons that's going to happen, but it's less likely to happen if you're looking at the body holistically when you're training as well. And that's just literally that's what I was thinking, and then this came along. So it was a decision with, well, do I go with the franchise or do I do it myself?
Yeah.
And at the time, like, I still wanted to grow Switch, so it was just a simple kind of decision, really.
I think the community aspect of Change is something that like really attracts me to the brand.
Yeah,
I think since COVID, people are just really moving towards wanting something in their life that provides them some kind of community.
Yeah.
And I think that's why some of the bigger chains are really quite struggling, because they don't provide that, they don't create that, and that's what people are asking for.
Yeah. And I think, like, you mentioned the bigger chains, but, even your commercial gyms these days, that's not their business model, though. Their business model isn't community-based. They might try to be, and I'm sure individual like gyms might try and do that, but it's very hard to do that on scale. And it's a little bit easier to do that with the right model, with the right intention of creating a community. And, you've been to Broadbeach, I've been to Broadbeach a couple of times as well. Like, no matter who's doing that session, you immediately feel like you're part of a community. No matter who's there, people are like encouraging each other. If you're doing that in not just in a gym, but like in any business, even a service-based business, that's going to make a huge difference to how people feel when they come to your business, and they're going to want to come back.
Yeah.
So community aspect.
Well, I think that's something that I've seen you create within Switch as well, which is pretty wild to see in a physio.
Yeah.
It's not really like this sort of industry where you would think that you would walk in and have conversations with people on the couch or, the receptionist or anything like that. Like, you do have that mindset that it is clinical. You go and you see your practitioner, you go. Yeah. But it does have that community aspect, which is really nice. And I think that's why, you've been able to expand and, carry that same, community aspect throughout all of the clinics.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do. Like, it's not easy to create that in multiple locations because you've got different team members, you've got different personalities, you've got different, even the demographics of the community could change, right? But if you're at least attempting to do it, you're going to start to create some momentum. Even when we talked about not having, your traditional reception desk in the reception, everyone was like, what do you mean? Where's the reception going to sit? What are they going to do? And I'm like, they've still got their work to do, but their biggest thing is going to be, welcoming clients. Sit down with them, have a chat. And I was like, why? What are you? That's not normal. Like, why would you do that?
It's non-traditional, yeah.
Super non-traditional. And I was just like, it doesn't matter. Let's just do it. Let's see what happens.
So what did you do? What is it?
We got rid of the reception desk. We gave them a laptop.
Yeah.
And, you know, we put teas in the reception room. You know, we've got couches. We don't have, you know, your shitty old plastic chairs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, think of when you go to a doctor's surgery,
yeah.
you know, and a majority of health clinics are like that.
Yeah.
Allied Health, every health clinic, you sit there, big reception desk, receptionist sitting behind there.
I know.
You know, barely says hello, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we've gone, no, what's the opposite of that? Mm. The opposite of that is like, you know, the way I thought about it in my head was like when you see the Friends episode and they're all sitting there talking around the coffee, right? That's literally the opposite to what you get in a doctor's surgery. How do we replicate that?
So good. I love that.
So now moving into like training and educating and consulting, like you've obviously got Switch Academy, which is there to coach, you know, up and coming physios, you know,
So
people that are
good.
already experienced within the industry that want to be better. And then obviously the business consulting as well. Why was that something that you wanted to go for?
Well, Harry's going to love that you plugged that. He's going to be sitting there going, yes, Switch Academy got a mention. So I guess, you know, first off with Switch Academy, it was literally what you said, is trying to mentor and educate physios, whether they're new grads or already in the industry, on looking at a different way of treating. You know, like we've had some really good successful outcomes with what we're doing within the business. And it's not easy to train someone like that in that model. You know, it takes time. There's a lot of knowledge and education that goes into that. And then after a while, we're like, how cool would this be if more and more people knew that? Like, they don't have to just work for Switch to know what we do. They can go then apply that in their own clinic. So yeah, that was the whole idea behind Switch Academy. I guess for new grads, it also gives them the opportunity to look at how you can help someone in a different way. You know, uni is very set, and unfortunately it's maybe not geared towards private practice. You know, the physios that are in uni are probably more geared to work in the hospitals and, you know, the community setting, which is super important and needed, but not really great skill-wise to work in private setting. So, you know, we can provide them with that education so they're not missing out on it, which is happening a lot, unfortunately. You know, we interview a lot of new grads and they're not maybe up to scratch on the private practice side of things.
Oh, it's the same with like personal training. Like you get your
Same with
certificate, it doesn't
personal
teach you
training.
anything
Same
about
with
rapport
hairdressing.
building, connection.
Same with social media, oh my gosh.
Nothing. Like there's
Like,
nothing. So the real world, it doesn't prepare you for anything like that. Yeah.
And like I've got a lot of friends in lots of different businesses and they all say the same thing,
Yeah.
right? So it's not unique to the physio industry, absolutely not. But I think what's difficult in the physio industry is it's not accepted that you can treat differently. It's like, what are you talking about? You know, and I think I was talking to Gavin yesterday, was my physio mentor, and he's now helps us and consult in the business. He's the one that taught me this method of treatment. And we were sitting there chatting. He's just like, I just don't understand. Like, you know, we've got physios that will come out and we teach them a lot of hands-on skills. And then after like 6 months, they're like, I just feel like I'm a glorified massage therapist. And we're like, cool, but which one do you want to be? Because if you just give people exercise, you're a glorified personal trainer.
Yeah,
so like,
100%.
So true.
All right, he said what he said.
like, you know, and that's no disrespect to anyone. It's not disrespect to massage therapists or personal trainers. But if you want to be a physio, work out where you want to be.
100%.
You know, you don't need to just give exercises. You don't need to just do hands-on. Like, and that's where I think Switch Academy can maybe shed some light onto how we can educate more people on the methods to what we do.
And then moving into business consulting, was that something that you've always wanted to do?
No, I don't know.
Or did she pressure you into that?
No, you pressured me.
I pressured her into that.
Oh, really?
Can I just say, December last year, I was so cooked.
I know.
Like literally 5 days before Christmas, he's like, want to start a business? And I was like, James.
Whilst I've got the physios, whilst I've got change happening.
And hold on, wait. I really have to ask, how do you do it? And then you're a family man as well?
Yeah.
How many kids? 2 kids? Yeah. How do you do it? How do you juggle it?
Adrian.
Yeah, I don't know. My wife helps out a lot.
Does everything, helps out. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, she legit does everything.
Yeah.
You know, I can't not mention that. You know, especially with the kids. You know, sometimes she'll be like, oh, you know, go spend some time with the kids. I'm like, cool, but which one? Yeah, I want to. Like, don't get me wrong, I love
Want to,
spending
but
time with the
also, do you
kids.
want a Birkin?
I only found out what that was like the other day,
how
and then when
funny.
I found out the price of that, I was like, yeah, no.
You're not getting that.
I
It
don't know
is
what that was.
2025.
It's so hard because you never detach yourself. I don't know if my husband has his own business, and when he's at home, but he's still quoting, and I think it's so hard to like put your phone down because he does demolition and carpentry, so it's constantly hands on. You can't use your phone, you can't send quotes, you can't do admin. So then his home time is admin, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the kids are also there, so it's really hard. And I respect the hustle completely, but then at the same time, it's like, put your phone down and come help out.
Look, but I think it just comes back down to why you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't personally, and you know, I don't mean any disrespect to anyone when I say this. If you're just doing work for the sake of it because you have to, then you're choosing not to maybe spend time with your kids or something like that, right? Which, don't get me wrong, we all do that. But
You have to. You have no choice these
right?
days.
But I think like sometimes when we'll be sitting there, like even last night, you know, had to do some stuff, and we're like, you know why we need to do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know why both of us are sitting at the table trying to get some shit done before the kids go to bed. When, you know, it would be amazing to play with the kids at that time before they go to bed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But at that point in time, I have to do this.
100%. Yeah.
But there's a reason why. It's not just like fill my day with work so I don't have to see the kids.
No,
Does that
no,
make
I know.
sense?
I
Yeah.
always say I'm working really hard right now so that one day I don't have to.
You don't have to. And Steve
I
says
don't
that.
know if I like that. But yes.
No, but it's true. But that's not to say that there's
You'll
days
never
where
work.
I don't step back, or
No, I know.
there's days where I'm like, you know what, everyone can get fucked. I'm
Yeah.
going to the gym. I need an hour to myself. You know what?
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
no.
I mean. But
What-
I don't want to be retiring at 65.
Yeah, no,
truthfully.
100%.
I know,
And
I'm
I
the
work,
same.
and I work too
Scary.
fucking
It's so
hard right
scary.
now to not feel like I have to work
Yeah.
for that long.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
What I mean by that is I don't, and this is just me personally, is I don't know if I will stop working. Like
I will always
yeah.
have something.
Exactly.
But I look at my parents now, and you know, like Dad was a absolute workaholic, and I was like, "How are you going to retire?"
Yeah.
Can I just say they have to slot me into their diary
Of
because they
stuff.
have so many commitments with friends and gym
Yeah.
and doing the garden.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you will fill your time. Like you think you won't, but you will.
100%.
Like whether and I do this thing where my toxic trait is I will take a hobby and monetize it. I don't know if you
Okay,
do
I
that,
like
but
that.
I do that. I do
like
that.
that.
Like, you know, my new hobby is acting. I've already gone and got my headshots. Now I'm looking for an agent.
Oh,
I
my
can't.
goodness.
I can't
You would
help
not.
it. I can't.
We need to
do-
see these
But
these
I don't
headshots.
know.
I can't
I don't
do
know.
one thing for fun and be okay with that.
But listen,
Like,
This is your problem.
Listen, I don't know. You haven't invited us to these shows. So
She
maybe-
hasn't. She tells me about them,
Yeah.
but never has she said, "Sandra, do you want to come and watch?"
Exactly. And then she just says to me yesterday, "Oh, all my acting's done for now." And I'm like, "Cool, thanks for the invite."
Yeah, I don't
But-
get invited either. Invitated.
I
don't get
invitated.
invited.
We'll
I
make
don't-
that a word. But
Can you monetize that?
but I reckon she's not inviting us because maybe, you know, I don't know the
well, I
quality
mean,
of the
you
acting.
might just see how big of a star I really am
Well,
and
look,
be
you know,
intimidated by it.
the track record shows.
I'm not laughing at you, Lyndall, at all.
Look, I hope you do well in acting, but if you haven't invited us to any performances yet, I reckon
Look,
there's
we're
a reason.
all acting in some way, shape, or form.
Look, the world is my stage.
We know.
But yeah, I mean, sorry, on the business consulting, because we haven't really talked about that.
yeah, sorry.
I mean, is it just, you know, personal experience that you've learnt so much, you've had so many learnings that now you kind of want to help others in business?
Yeah.
Because just for a little bit of context, the spreadsheets that I have seen, there's everything is so in depth. Like
Yeah.
it's absolutely, I've never seen
So it'll
anyone.
be like a toolkit, like you'll help. What's the model for that?
I think it would depend on what that person needs, right? And I'm not saying that I would have all the answers for their business either, but like Lyndall said, I think it's just from experience, and it was just from people asking me. You know, it just literally all happened at once. I had multiple people asking like, "Hey, can I have help?" And I was like, "Okay, sweet, happy to do it." But then it was like, cool, and they were asking some marketing questions and
so
like all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. It was just like kept going. I'm like, cool. Like Lyndall's really good at marketing. Like I don't mind telling people like a bit of a strategy, but like actually how to do that.
Yeah.
Not my strength. So, you know, and she's good at that. So I was like, well, you know, majority of the people that I was speaking to that wanted help, yes, there was a lot of business structure and you know, a lot of them probably need a little bit of that structure too. But the one thing that I've picked up is straight away when someone needs help, they need help with maybe some leads coming in, right? Now, whether or not that's the right thing for them at the time, it's what they're all asking. Yeah. So
More
at
money.
that, everyone just wants that. They think that that deal flow is going to fix their problems, I think. Because that's when someone asks for help, it's because they've got a problem in the business, which everyone has at some point. But the problem that they think is going to fix it, they think is marketing.
Yeah.
And it might be, but it's probably not. But at the same time, you just, you know, the other stuff takes time to work on. So maybe marketing is what's going to help in the short term if you're working on your business in the back end. So literally that's how it was happening. And it wasn't just one person, it was multiple. And then I was just like, cool, Lyndall, like, do you want to help me out here?
I mean, there's so many different facets of business that sometimes you don't even think about. Like, I know you talk very heavily on just even, you know, client journey and making sure that experience for the client is absolutely immaculate as, you know, one of the starting points, is one of the foundational things that you put together when, you know, working on your business. Some people don't even think about that. You know, they don't think about, you know, what their messaging is, or, you know, placement within the industry. We spoke about point of difference, like whether it's a product or a service, like what are you offering? You know, some of these basic things, they just think, okay, I have a product or I have a service and I want to put it out there so I can make money. Do you find that a lot of people come to you and that's kind of the mindset that they have?
Well, that's how they start their business, right? They start their business because they really enjoy something. You talked about before, you're monetizing a hobby, right? But majority of people would start a business around some sort of form of that, right? They're monetizing something that they're good at. They're monetizing something that they have an interest in, right? And that maybe gets them to a certain level. And I think everyone that starts a business probably does it on some sort of version of that, right? And then what happens is that enthusiasm for that passion or that hobby or something that you're good at then kind of stops when the business gets its first problem. And then there's no real next step. No one gets taught business. You know, and I'd argue, not that I've freaking been, as I said earlier, but even if you went to uni to study business, is there real world application? We talked about
I studied business at uni, and let me tell you, no.
Okay, well, so there you go. Like, I don't know,
all,
but I've talked to a lot of people that have done, you know, business, you know, education or something like that. And, you know, don't get me wrong, they maybe know the intricacies of a business and how it operates and structures and systems, but there's a whole different application in the real world, right? So like no one gets taught that. It's something you have to learn, but that's where a lot of problems in businesses happen. And I think that's where when you get over your hobby or not that you get over it, like that first problem then shines a light on why did I do this?
And I think COVID was a big catalyst for people starting their own business because they could no longer go to work and they lost a lot of jobs. So then they were like, shit, what's something that I'm good at that I can monetize now? But then they went full throttle during like COVID. And then when COVID finished, all the other businesses came back in. And so they're like, shit, what do I do now? So they've hit a crossroads. And so that's where like they've either shut shop or they've, you know, you see so many businesses close, like, because they haven't thought past that. Like once the hype of it dies down, and there was a cafe in Concord, I think it was Platform 82. They first started the tiered desserts and then, you know, those things. I went to look at it the other day and it's gone.
But the cafe that is there right now is so good.
Oh, really?
It is
but
so
this is what
good.
I mean. The hype of that tiered like meals, that all died down and everyone started doing it. And I think they just couldn't.
Well, to be fair though, because I grew up in Concord, I know a little bit about that, right? So that was a little bit of a different business model because those guys that opened it sold it. So they built up a really good following. They built up a really good brand. They had a product that at the time was awesome, like quality-wise. And was trending, right? And they built up the value of the business. They sold it.
And then it shut.
And then the next group of guys, and this is the thing with a business, right? It's a really good business model to do what they did. But then when you're buying that business, you've then changed the whole cash flow, the whole financial aspect of it. So when that business was sold, it was sold on a multiple of profit. But if you then got to pay that what do you call it, the purchase price back, where are you going to make that saving? Because you're not making that profit anymore. So if you're not making that profit anymore, are you then going to cut costs on the product?
Yeah.
Are you going to cut costs on the
So
service?
what did they do? Could you see?
It was definitely the product.
Yeah. Okay.
They were still doing the tiers,
Yeah.
but the quality of the food wasn't probably as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then slowly that dwindles down to the point where you close the business or you change something.
Yeah. And they closed it. Yeah.
So how do you balance it all? Like, you've obviously got multiple businesses and lots of arms and moving parts.
Yeah.
Like, how do you balance it all?
What are your atomic habits?
My atomic habits.
Oh, wow.
If you ask my wife, if you ask Adriana, she'll like give you a list of all the bad ones.
Can I ask, do you put your clothes in the washing basket, or do you leave them on the
Yeah,
side of
let's
the
not go
washing
there.
basket? Because that is my one pet peeve. I'm like, I don't understand. It's right there.
Okay, look, this is
It's a
how
male
it happens,
thing.
right?
I'm telling you.
It is.
When we do that, it's not that we're thinking like, how do I piss off my wife? It's like we've got something else on our mind, and we think we're doing the right thing, but then we get told we're not.
But how do you miss the basket? It's right there.
Maybe we're playing basketball. I don't know.
Like I go in there and I'm like, I just don't understand. Like I can't even. And now my kids are doing it. My 2 boys are doing it.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Oh, it's the worst. Okay, sorry. Go.
No, you're right,
Atomic
you're right.
good habits. What good habits do you have?
Look, I don't know. I don't know if I have good habits. It's like, I've read the book Atomic Habits, right? And when I read it, I was like, oh shit, I didn't do any of this. I really got to do it. And to be fair, I don't think I have, and I don't know if I can do that kind of stuff, right? But one thing that I would probably say is that it just comes down to work ethic and a reason for what you're doing. You know, so, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you may ask how you do it all, what are the habits? Like, I've tried everything to get up at 4 a.m.
Oh, I can't do
Not
it.
fucking happening.
I can't.
No.
That needs to die. That's a social media trend that needs to die.
Yeah.
no.
You
The
know
5
what,
a.m.
like,
club.
5 a.m. club,
You were
like,
doing that.
When I was a PT, yes.
But yeah, okay.
Not,
don't get me wrong, like, I'll still wake up early if I have to. Like, for me, like, if I'm waking up early, there's got to be a reason for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, everything else, we all, so for the way I look at it, we all sleep 7 to 8 hours a day. So irrespective of whether I wake up at 5 a.m. or at 6, I then have 16 hours in my day to do everything that everyone else has to do. So it doesn't matter whether I wake up at 5 a.m. or not, right? But then I think that's the thing, is like, then in those 16 hours, I do what I have to do.
Yeah.
Because I have a reason to do it. If I have a reason to do it, then like, it'll just get done.
It just gets done, yeah.
But then I think the second part to that is you can only get all these things done if you have the right people around you. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. You know, I don't think, you know, between Switch, Change, you know, the consulting business, like all that kind of stuff, none of that would happen if there wasn't the right people around. And that changes. I think that's sometimes where we get stuck as well, is that we maybe highlight, okay, this is what I need right now, but then people forget that people change and circumstances change, the role changes. So that's got to develop as well. But, you know, if you've got the right people doing the right job at that time, then, you know, that makes things a lot easier.
and just to, I guess, finish up, what is some advice that you would give to someone that wants to, you know, dive into business and maybe grow?
Don't do it.
One single piece of advice.
One single piece of advice.
Asking a
nugget.
tough question.
Drop your golden nugget.
I think you've got to have a why, which we just talked about before. You've got to have a reason to do it. And the most successful people outwork everyone else.
Oh, I love it.
So
Ready to go.
there's no one who's achieved any form of success that, you know, wanted to work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know, like, irrespective of it, it doesn't mean you have to be a business owner. That's in everything.
It's just in anything
You
you're
know,
doing.
if you want to be the best at your job, if you want to be the best at your, you know, what you've chosen to do, if you just want to do it between 9 and 5, accept what comes with that.
Imagine working 37.5 hours a week. What a dream.
And that's it. Yeah.
And that's it.
37.5, it's 38.
Yeah, whatever.
She used
Where's
to
that
work
extra
37.
half an hour? Whoever was paying you, they missed out.
But I've never
half an
done-
hour a week.
I've never done it. That's the thing.
I
I've never done it.
work 38 hours a week. 38. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not including all of your coaching and your other
all the
business
other
that you
stuff on the
do.
side.
Yeah.
No, that's
You will
just
probably easily do 50 to 60 hours a week, let's be honest.
Somebody they asked me like, how do you handle your workload and stuff? And I said, I never take my 9 to 5 home with me ever. And work is not my priority. Like that's just a means to an end. And that helps pay for all the other stuff that I need to do.
Can't relate. I'm always bringing my work home.
Yeah, sorry. Adriana's like going to run through the door and is like, wait, there's a way we can do that?
So you're hiring?
We're always hiring. And that's the other thing. You've got to always be hiring, right? I think that's important. If you're not always hiring, you never know what you're going to miss out on.
So about that second social media girl.
Yeah, about that, but you can't do it.
Are you going to open up a change in the hood? There's no gym
Which
in
hood
the
are we
hood.
talking about?
Well, I'm in Belmore and there's like nothing.
Look,
We don't go that far on holiday.
I've got some good friends that live in Belmore, and one of them is a real estate agent, and he always asks me to do it. He's literally looking at everything that pops up.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
I tried one and I just was like, oh.
So look, it is something.
On the books, that's it. I'm going to be a franchise owner in Belmore.
Hang on. I didn't say that because then, we're going to be hit up for when are we opening in Belmore. No. But look, it is something, we do, like the whole change model, I think would be really cool to roll out. Once we get the first one done, I do want to open more. And it would just be about finding the right place. Like I first got involved with change. I was one of the first franchise owners to like sign up literally 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we took 2 years to find the right place. So like,
Wow.
I think just because of the offering, because of what it has, you don't just want to slap it up anywhere like some of our competitors do. They just pop up anywhere.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So that's fine. Like we'll let them do that.
And so close to each other as well.
Yeah.
It's like, which one do you go to?
Yeah. And look, I don't know. Like I think the fitness landscape is going to change a lot over the next 5 years, and literally that's the benefit of change, and that's why it's called change, because it can change with the fitness landscape.
Switch it up.
Change and switch it up. That's
Oh
it.
my God. All right, now you're both dropping the dad jokes.
Look, I was refraining this whole time from dropping the dad jokes, but
I was like, you know what? When I think of Switch, I'm like, Tupac switches on bitches.
Oh my God.
He knows.
Look, it wasn't why we chose that name.
But it could be our new motto.
Yeah, and you're talking about
For the
different area
hood,
codes
for the
now.
hood.
So
Yeah, for the hood. I'm black.
that's it.
all
Look,
good.
we will come to the hood.
Okay.
All right.
We need one.
Oh my God. All right, guys. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. We're going to pop all of James's links below. So if you want to follow him or his businesses, please do. But until next time, see ya.